Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Next Level Real Talk Podcast, where we have conversations on the journey of personal transformation and the pursuit of lasting peace and happiness with Sheldon and David. And welcome back to another episode of Next Level Real Talk Podcast. Here we are back again. David, how's it going?
Doing well, doing great, having a great start off to the year. And I hope everyone's got a smile out there and feeling good. And if not, we're going to have some good conversations about some ways to view things and kind of like deal with some situations. So they're actually kind of cool. It's kind of, so all you sports fans be listening up because guess what? We got a little sports thing coming up. So something we're going to talk about. So,
Yeah, tools for navigating and surfing the wild waves and the wild energies. You guys know
mhm.
I'm big about the energy. Massive solar flares and coronal mass ejections and plasma radiation is hitting the Earth from the sun. So it's been blasting directly at the Earth on record on not I don't know if there's record, but massive levels in the last couple of days hitting the Earth. So
And
those, yeah, go ahead.
something fun, okay, on that kind of, which, how they always say when the planets align, I'll do this, or when all the planets align. Well, there's a planet parade going on right now, people.
Yes,
If you look at this, kind of look at sunset, dusk, you can see the planets lining up. Not like, oh, they're all right there.
I
I
had
mean, you got
heard
to get a
about that.
phone
Is
and
that
look at it.
happening right now? I knew that was
Dude,
gonna happen. It's happening right
cool.
now. Yeah.
And so Mercury is going to come into line, I guess, tomorrow is what they're
Uh-huh.
supposed to say. So
Yeah.
I was at an event, a friend's birthday party, and of course, all the teachers merged together in one little table. And we're sitting there talking. As one lady talked about, we were talking about the planets and look at the sky because it was nice out. And then she brought up the planetary parade. I'm
Yeah.
like, what? And she has, it's called Skyview Light. Sorry, I don't get paid by them, but it's Skyview Light. I put it on my phone.
Yeah, little app.
You put it up to us. Yeah, I
Yeah.
put it up to like, okay, there's a bright light,
Yeah.
stars. That's got to be a planet. I put up, and you got two planets together. Then another one. I go this way a little bit. Oh, there's another planet. Oh, there's another
That
planet.
thing's cool. I love that thing.
Yeah,
I have that.
then it even shows the constellations. See, I
Yeah.
saw Taurus,
Yeah.
or Tauruses, Scorpio, and all those. So I'm like, this is cool. So
Yeah.
even that could be something that's kind of pulling things.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know how that
Yeah.
works. I'm not a
Yeah. I
astronomy.
I'm all into the energies of,
Yeah.
these things are all in gravitational forces, and there's, the sun especially is blasting a lot of stuff. The solar flare
Mhm,
activity is really massive right now. So the sun is super active and it's blasting stuff right at us. I mean, the EMPs can actually wipe out all the satellites, right? So if there's a blast that's
mhm,
strong enough, it can wipe out satellite communication. So if it can do that to a satellite, that means it could affect our bodies too, right? So,
mhm.
at least being open to the possibility, even if that's something that you
Yeah.
don't find you want to pay a lot of attention to, I get it. But I look at that as go, okay, maybe that's part of why everyone's so sensitive right now.
Along with, because kind of dates it, well, one, the planetary lineup kind of dates it too, which doesn't happen. Uh, this much of a lineup doesn't happen like every hundreds of years, so it's pretty cool. But that and this kind of dates it with election stuff going
Yep.
on. The new election's over, and with the new, uh, every time
Inaugurate.
something's new, inauguration. Every time something's new, it's hard.
Yeah.
People don't like change, and so
Yeah.
it's change. And so I think people are starting to settle in, whether you like, whether you don't like situations. But we're going to talk about that today, and not get political, but I want to talk about how to see things when
Yeah.
it's dealing with politics, because it's a hard thing in this world.
Yeah, because it's
you know?
everything has become so politicized, right?
Hmm.
So,
Yeah.
oh, if you believe this way, then
Yeah.
you're a bad person. If you believe this way, you're a good person or whatever, right? So there's this
Yeah.
polarization and politicization of everything that we deal with. And so how do we navigate that in a way that is compassionate, loving both for ourselves and for the other parties? And how do you look
Hmm.
at things? And sometimes shifting perspective can help with some of that. And we were
Yep.
talking about in the midst of chaos, in the midst of different
Mhm.
scenarios, can we find that place within us, right? That
Yeah.
ultimately the idea of seeking first within yourself, the kingdom of heaven, the kingdom of God is within you at all times, which means a place of peace to me, right? That there is this
Mhm.
divine nature. There's in this place of peace within all of us, and it's there, um, independent of the external circumstances. So if anybody's been listening
Mhm.
to this, that's one thing we're all both constantly saying is, hey, we do have this ability. It's hard sometimes. Not saying it's
Yep.
easy,
Mhm.
and we can challenge it. And we had this really cute example, funny example of
Um,
somebody doing that in the
so,
most
oh,
interesting of circumstances, right?
well, okay. So I was going to say, so I was watching football, okay, and this person is in his workspace, and we've talked about doing stuff in your workspace, just taking time to calm, to relax.
Like, you
And
did it when you
so,
were teaching, I did it when I was managing,
yep,
body shops and, in the middle of work. How do you
yep,
find that place of peace in the midst of the
mhm.
chaos of work,
And
right?
me was doing the meditation and looking at, The Untethered Soul.
Yep,
That was the book I was looking at.
right.
And so, sitting there watching the Philadelphia Eagles game, it was I think it was the first of the playoffs, or it was maybe the
Divisional
last
round,
game
yeah.
of the season. And and they started talking about AJ Brown, and that he has a book that he's been reading, and they've asked him about it. And here's a picture of AJ Brown at a game in his work space. He's on the bench
Literally
reading a
in the
book.
middle of the football game, right?
Game. Yeah, the football game. He came off the bench, put his helmet on that little heater thing so it could be warm when he goes back out. And those that do follow football, AJ Brown is not just a guy that sits on the bench. AJ Brown is one of the top receivers. And
Yeah,
so he's like, okay, I'm gonna sit down and read. And they showed it from behind a while back, and it was highlighted, underlined. So it's not like he just said, okay, I'm just gonna be cool and read a book. No, he says this book helps him relax, gets him in the space he needs to be, and lets him think about who he needs to be. I'm like, I want to get that book now. Of course, everybody's
yeah.
getting the book. So I haven't read it yet. So I can't, say, hey, this is a great book. So I will be getting the book, reading it, and we can have a discussion about it down the road.
Eh,
But there it is. Train your mind for extraordinary performance and the best possible life. And I had a quote from someone, because if you guys know what our tagline kind of is, it's about your personal journey and finding peace and happiness. The pursuit of peace and happiness. And one person, um, in talking about the book, said it helps you move beyond the pursuit of happiness, okay, to a life of purpose and fulfillment. And that's all he's doing. He's just trying to find out, where am I going? What am I doing? How do I get there? And in the middle of a game, how is that going to help him? I don't know, but he found that to help him as he's playing football. So
it
as I'm teaching, I found just looking at pieces of a book or doing meditation helped me. Obviously, him reading that book helped him get more focused on,
Yeah,
this is
grounded
what I'm
him,
doing.
right? Got him
Hmm.
back into his cleared him out
Yeah.
of, the franticness of chaos of what might be going on in the game. Maybe he's freaking out or, "Oh my god, are we gonna lose?" or whatever. "I had a bad play, I missed," you know what I mean? And all of that stuff
Hmm.
that happens in your mind, and how do you just get back into that centered space and just like, "Okay,
Yeah.
you know, it's okay. I'm here right now. Boom. And that place. And we've always said that when you're in that space, while it may seem like you're dismissing the external world, like, oh, I was in my shop and I got triggered, so I went back into my office and I meditated. Well, are you ignoring? And hopefully, if you remember, we always talked about, I would get in that place of peace and then I would go back out there and address what had to happen once
Hmm.
I was able to recover some semblance of peace within myself first, right? So it's not what you do, it's where you do it from. And so, the odds are that if he can find that place of peace and centeredness in that moment in 2 minutes on the sideline, that then when he goes
Hmm.
back out there on the field, he's more effective in his role because his mind is less frantic, right? And
Yeah.
so he's grounding. You did the same thing, right? Meditate in between
Yeah.
classes. You're more
Hmm.
present as a teacher for your students. You're
Yeah.
not in all of the other trauma and
And
drama that's going on in your head.
it's doing stuff. It's not interrupting. It's not like I said, okay, guys, stop. I can't teach right now. I'm gonna leave. No, at one, sometimes something may have triggered it. I don't know, but most of the time it was like, do it on the break time. Then get yourself ready. Once he's not like going, hey, coach, call me out. I gotta go read my book. No, you weren't doing it like, okay, I'm just gonna walk out here and leave you guys alone. You got to do it on your own. You kind of found time, like you were saying. Sometimes it was great to go to the bathroom, right in the bathroom when I'm sitting in the
There
bathroom.
there it is in
And
the
there he is.
middle of a football game on the sideline reading a book. That's
And,
absolutely hilarious to me.
yeah, and I love it because, and if you saw it live, not one of his players would come be like, dude, what are you doing? It was just like, they're like, okay, he's reading his book. Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
he's reading his book again. I mean, it
They
wasn't like, they
they
weren't.
knew how he was. Yeah, they knew that
Yeah.
that's something that was important for him or whatever.
And I love that they allowed him to have that space.
You're right.
He may have gotten he we don't see the whole thing. He may have gotten ridiculed right off the bat for some,
Yeah,
it's that's what happens.
yeah,
But I love the ending of it all because no one's bugging him or doing anything. I'm
yeah,
sure if coaching to talk to him came up, he'd put his book, and he has a bookmark,
yeah.
and he got it. He sat down, got his book, opened it up to where his bookmark was,
It's so
closed it.
awesome.
Well, I'm like, this is awesome, man. So, but it wasn't giving up what was going on in the game.
Yes.
I mean, it was defense. So guess what? He didn't need
Yeah.
to be worrying about that because he doesn't play defense,
Yeah.
until I mean, boom, they turn it over, they get the ball back. Guess what he does? Puts it down, goes back out.
Yep.
So yeah, so it's cool being able to
It
find that space, even in a so if he can find that in a crazy football game
in the midst
in the
of
middle of
battle,
winter,
which is what a football game is, in the midst
yeah.
of battle,
Mhm,
he's taking a moment to connect, to do what he needs to do, to read a passage, to read a verse, whatever that is, a little quote that reminds him of what he needs to do in order to bring out the best version of himself in any given
mhm.
moment, right?
Yep.
And
So here's a hint. Here's what I'm doing next year in my fantasy football. Guess who's going to be one of my receivers? I think I'm going to pick him as one of my receivers.
and I think he jacked up the sales of that book too, right?
Oh yeah, Amazon said it went crazy. Amazon said they were just inundated with book requests for him. Yeah,
Uh,
isn't that crazy? So
it's totally
it's
hilarious.
like which is cool. Who knows? People may not have been thinking that, but like, hey, Jay Brown, I'm going to read it. Well, maybe that helps them get to that point.
Yeah,
What we've been talking about, hey, mine was The Untethered Soul. This might be another book I read. Like, well, it's kind of cool. Another little
yep,
connection, you
yep,
know. So whatever gets you to that space in a positive way,
yep,
get there.
and it can be a
You know.
moment of prayer. It can be a moment
Hmm.
of meditation. It can be a
Yep.
walk around the
Hmm.
block, a quick walk around the building. Let me step
Yeah.
outside. Let me take a quick walk.
Hmm. Yeah.
I've always said that, I thought that the reason that cigarette smoking was so addictive was it made you stop, get up from your desk, walk outside and take deep breaths, breathe
Hmm.
deeply.
Yep.
You know what I
Hmm.
mean? And so you're stopping everything in order to do a breathing exercise, right?
Yeah.
So just stop inhaling the smoke and just do the breathing exercise.
You're breathing. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And
But
I'll
it's that
yeah.
pattern interrupter. You're interrupting the pattern in your
Hmm.
day. You're taking the
Yeah.
moment to stop, drop into your heart and relax and breathe. So how do we do that? And can you do it in every circumstance? Here's a beautiful example of what
Yeah.
would seem like a
And
fairly intense and extreme circumstance, and yet the person is still able to do that.
mhm. And I don't. So again, I haven't read the book, so I'm getting it. It's ordered. It's coming from Amazon. Yes, it's coming. I don't know when I'll get it here because
We
everybody
might be
else
doing
got
a
it.
book review.
Um, yeah, and I don't know anything about the author is Jim Murphy.
Yeah.
Okay, that's his name, and
Yeah.
so I don't know anything about him. Haven't done any research yet. Just we're just bringing this out, going like this is pretty cool.
Yeah.
So we will talk about that in a couple episodes once I get a chance to get. I get the book I think Monday,
Yeah.
and then I'll walk through it and Sheldon and I'll talk about it and
Yeah.
I'll do a little research on Jim Murphy, see where he comes from. But it's kind of cool. I just like that,
Yeah.
and I love that AJ Brown is doing that. What a great
I think it's a
example!
beautiful
A
example
great
and
example, man.
super inspiring for me, and just like in
Hmm.
alignment with everything we've always been sharing, which is, you know, again, taking that moment to find some place of peace within yourself, regardless of what's going on.
Yeah.
And, we were also talking like, the inauguration just happened on this past week. So we are
Hmm.
dating the episode a little bit. Um, and that's, generate a lot of energy, if you will, right? And for
Hmm.
some people, it's a lot of energy of hope and excitement. For a lot of people, for other people, it's an energy of trauma and fear, right? And oh my gosh, or whatever, anger, whatever it is, right?
Hmm.
So there's these weird polarities uh, going on, and
And
when
it goes back to the is it good? Is it bad? That story you talked about. Is it good or is it bad? I don't know yet.
nobody knows,
Some things that are being said. Well, that could be bad. Well, we don't know, and
could
maybe
be
it
good
winds
too.
up being a good thing. So
Uh,
we don't know until the outcome of it. So that's what we're going to kind of lead into is like, is it good? Is it bad?
I don't know.
So yeah, we don't know.
For those of you, that should I recap that story real quick?
Yeah, yeah,
It
go ahead.
was
That'd be
a
awesome.
parable, I guess it was, and again, I don't remember it exactly, but it was like the Chinese farmer, and he gets a wild horse comes and roams around, and so he captures this wild horse, and his neighbor is like, "Oh my God, you got this, horse! It's such a good thing. You got such good luck." And he goes, "Good or bad? I don't know." And then like a week later, the horse runs away and he loses the horse. And his neighbor goes, "Oh my God, you lost your horse. Such bad luck." And then he's just like, I don't know, good or bad. And then, like a week later after that, the horse comes back with five other horses, like a pack of horses. And he's, "Oh my God, you got now six horses. You have such good luck." And the guy goes, "Good or bad? I don't know." And then his son is trying to break in one of the horses, right? So he can ride it. And he gets
Mhm,
bucked from the horse and he breaks his leg. And the neighbor farmer goes, "Oh my God, your son broke his leg. Such bad luck." And the guy goes, "Good or bad? I don't know." And then, like, couple days later, the army is recruiting people for the war, and they come to the house and they can't take the son because he's got a broken leg. So they don't recruit him to go off to war. And then the neighbor, oh my God, you're so lucky. Your son isn't going to go to fight in the war. Good. The guy's like, good or bad, I don't know. And I think
No.
that's where it ends. But it's this whole
Mhm.
idea of who knows? We don't know, right? Who
Yeah.
am I? It's like I always, who am I to judge? Who am I to know? I don't know.
Mhm.
We can surrender the need to be in control and to know what's right or wrong to our higher power, and to say, all right, you know what? In this moment, I don't know,
Mhm.
and that's okay. And and we'll see, right?
Yeah.
And
Take
the
the moment for what it is at that moment.
yes,
Take it for the be in that moment. Like,
yes,
wow, you got a bunch of horses. Is it good or bad? I
we'll
don't
see.
know.
Yeah,
Because yeah, I got a lot of horses now. I got to feed them all.
yeah,
Maybe I don't know. I don't know what the bad part is,
yeah,
but is it good or
yeah,
bad? I don't know yet.
yes.
Because you
It,
can't say, "Oh, this is going to be the best thing in the world." How do you really know?
yeah.
You don't. So,
And and in these moments right now where there's so much change, there's so much seeming chaos, there's so much there's a lot of stuff you could be afraid of, with whether it's war and stuff like that, and good or bad, we don't know. And the other thing we were talking about before we started recording was this idea of the resolution of what we call paradox, right? So
mhm,
is it good and bad, and could it be a little of both wrapped into one, right?
mhm,
And which wins the battle of the good and the bad? Who knows, right? And how does that play out? We don't know, right?
mhm,
But the idea of, can you be at peace within the context of everything that's playing out, regardless of what direction it takes? And
mhm,
that is a resolution of paradox, I think, is what you can call it, which is both and,
mm,
instead of
mhm,
either or. In other words, Republican or Democrat, good or bad, savior or the devil,
mhm.
whatever that
Yeah.
is, can, one side or the right side, this side or that side, whatever that is. And that's the dualistic nature of
Mhm,
the universe that we live in, right? And that's what some of the spiritual teachings would say is, hey, this universe by its very nature is dualistic. And the thing that I always found interesting is that it is dualistic all the way down to the quantum level. You have a quark that's spinning one way and a quark that's spinning the other way. You have positrons, you have electrons. Everything that they've ever found in the physical universe is dualistic. There's
mm,
always an up and a
mhm,
down. There's a this and a that. There's a spin this way and a spin that way. There's everything that they've found, every single part of the cold they've ever found, they found the opposite of it.
mm,
So the very nature of the universe is dualistic. But how do you and so this idea of this or that, good or bad, right? Left or right,
yeah,
whatever that is. But can we resolve all of that and say both and? And so that becomes sort of the question. And so on people on spiritual path, that is one of the things that they talk about with regard to higher states of consciousness and ability to accept everything, is, can we hold
mhm,
space for both? And is it possible that it's both and? And that's a resolution of the paradox, which is, can something be good and bad at the same time? Can there
yeah,
be
and I don't we as you know here, we don't take sides politics, we just talk about how to get through stuff,
yeah.
and we talked before we got on, do you think it's okay to talk about that, what we talked about that both and with that situation? Because I understand when we do this, understand we know that there's a lot of people out there that have this. Okay, and so we're like thinking like, well, yeah, that's how some people feel. So we're not saying that Trump should have won over Biden or Biden should have won over Trump. That's not what we're doing. We're taking what people are saying and feeling
Well,
and saying, hey, maybe it isn't both.
as a character, he's very polarizing, right?
Yeah. So,
And
we're
Trump
about Trump.
Trump as a character is very polarizing, right? So
Mhm,
he's almost like this catalyst for bringing and exposing all of this stuff. If you look at it sort of on just like an energetic sort of spiritual level, is he brings this stuff up in people, all of us,
mhm.
right? And what is he bringing up? Is he bringing up fear? Is he bringing up joy? You
Yeah,
know, and
it's
and
different for each individual.
and it's different for
It
all of
really is.
us, right?
Mhm,
Um,
mhm.
is he the second coming, or is he the devil incarnate? You know what I mean? I've heard people talking about it in both kind of
Yeah.
terms, right? But could he be a little both and? You know what
Mhm.
I mean? And could some of the things that he's doing be absolutely great for the country, but also super horrific in a certain way too?
Yeah,
You know what I
and
mean?
and
Could there
as
be?
people have said, they love his policies, but they don't like him his character,
Sometimes,
his
yeah,
persona. And
some
so
people don't like
could he be
yeah,
both? Yeah, because he could be the yeah, he's both. You don't like him because his personality, but he's got some great policies that you like.
yeah,
So
yeah,
there's that both and,
yeah,
so you have to kind of go like and use okay, use the good bad. Okay, so we don't know if it's going to be good or bad right now.
yeah,
Yes, and understand we're not talking about certain policies 100%.
yeah,
We're talking about
and
in general. We don't know what's going to happen.
even with when you if you take it down to a specific policy, "Hey, I don't know. I don't know.
Mhm.
We'll see." We hope, and we can hold within our own
Mhm.
heart and space that it works out for the best for our, people and for the country and for all of us, right? But if it's generating anxiety with you or whatever it's generating within you, can you hold
Mhm.
space for that, whatever's coming up within you?
Exactly.
Um, and know that everything has that sense of contradiction, that sense
Mhm.
of unknowing, and that creates a sense of fear when we don't know what the future is. It becomes fearful for us, and that also becomes you can get into sometimes whether you want to get into that idea that it's almost intentional, and we I don't even want to go down that path, but whether there's generation of fear.
Mhm.
From the media, from politics and stuff as a way of controlling people, right? But how
Yeah.
do you find peace? And that's why I always say that when you can find inner peace within yourself, that is true power because you're no longer subject to manipulation, whether it's media stories, whether it's political
Mhm.
events, whatever that is, whether it's UFOs in the sky, right? Oh my God, world's coming to an
Yeah.
end, we're going to be invaded. Or, this is the biggest blessing because there are these enlightened beings that can have mastered time and space and they can travel through it and they're at a higher
Yep.
frequency of love than we've ever been and they're here to help us, or they're gonna, Independence Day, blow the place up and take us over. You know what I mean? It's like,
And
okay.
we tend to and with the social media, we tend to look at it and go, "Oh, this is what's going on right now."
Yeah.
Well, understand that some of that's not real. You have to really look back because that was a situation that, in Phoenix Union this week, uh, there was a story, I think it was Tuesday or what's today, Friday? Tuesday or Wednesday, about at one of our sister schools that there was ICE and Homeland Security outside
Yeah.
the school.
Yeah.
Well, everyone's freaking out because that's not good because they're going to take these kids. Well, then it came out that North had the same situation, my school, but all of that was not real. So it was like if everybody took a breath and go, okay, is this real? Is this really going on?
Yeah.
Because I could just say something right now and let it spread.
Yeah.
I was like, where do you get that? He didn't. He just said it.
Yeah.
So we have to go. And if it's real, it's hard. I mean, okay, if you're worried about something, I'm taking that for an example. If that's an issue, so you go, okay, is this calm down because you're going to react. You know, go down, go within. Okay, uh, get calm as much as you can, and then go see if that's real stuff going on.
Yeah.
And I guarantee you, if that would have happened, I guarantee that would have been on the news.
Yeah.
Never hit the news.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, and you could tell me, oh, it's fake news. They didn't want to do it or whatever. But understand, you have to go like, hey, did this really happen? Well, no,
Yeah.
maybe it didn't. Okay,
Yeah.
so it's it everything that's going on right now is going to bring up good or bad, and it's going to bring up some tension.
Yep.
Okay. And so your friends may be in it, you may be in it, but that's where you need to really drop. Okay. And
Stop,
think. Yeah.
drop into
Stop,
your
drop.
heart,
Yep. Yep.
breathe,
Stop,
and
drop, and breathe.
relax.
Yep.
And
And
one of
then go through the process because you got to really pay attention to it. Don't just say, okay, now, oh, good, I'm calm, kumbaya, I'm out of here. No, stop, drop, breathe, and go, okay, now I can do this rationally because
yeah,
that lets your head relax, get the out of there, and go, okay, now let me really see this from a good light and a
yeah,
good situation and a
yeah,
good brain. And if it is happening, then progress forward and see what you need to do with it and
yeah,
keep dropping in. Yeah.
absolutely. And that's why I always say that relaxation is a high spiritual attainment. To be
Hmm.
truly relaxed in your body because most of us aren't. There's inner tension, whether that's resistance to the feelings we're having, resistance to the emotions,
Hmm.
resistance to the memories, shame, anger about what has happened to us in our past on an individual level. And then that manifests out, and we can see that also being resistance to what is like, oh, I wish this person weren't president, or I wish, I'm happy that he is, or whatever, right? Or I wish this war
Hmm.
wasn't happening. And there's this resistance to the energies that are happening and a desire to control everything, right? And that's
Hmm.
being magnified on a level that we've never really experienced before. That's my belief, right? And so when that magnification and intensification of those energies of polarities and they create these energies of fear with us. Can we relax? Can we stop the mind? That's why meditation
Mhm.
is so powerful, because it stops the mind.
Mhm.
Relax into the heart, breathe. The mind cannot accept the paradox. It doesn't work very well with the mind, but the heart has the capacity to love all that is, right? And so
Mhm.
that's why the whole idea of unconditional love, loving everything without any conditions at all. The heart has the capacity to do that. The mind does not, because the mind is in
Mhm.
judgment all the time, right? The mind thinks good and bad, right and wrong, and all of that. So the mind has this dualistic nature. The heart has this all encompassing nature, and so can dropping into the heart to be in that place for yourself and being compassionate for yourself. If you're triggered, if you're reactive, if you're upset, holding that space for yourself first, and then moving from that place, like you were saying, then
Mhm.
in that place, your mind will think more clearly, and then you'll
Yeah.
know what
It's
you need to do.
Yeah, it's not that the situation is going away. And, oh, good. Okay, now that I've relaxed and my brain's clear, I don't got to worry about that. Yeah, you're still going to worry about that, but you're going to worry about it in a clear mind.
Yeah, you're going to
So
deal
it's
with it. You
deal
may
with it.
not
Yeah,
worry
yeah, word
anymore, but you'll
exactly the
know
wrong
what
word.
happened.
Mhm.
Yeah, you'll be
Yeah, you can
clear.
deal with it with a clear mind and not be like you're worrying because you're not letting your mind relax
Yeah,
and get all the quick stuff out because you're. I don't care. Something happens. Every brain goes. This is the good.
yeah,
This is the bad. You know,
yeah,
and it's like let it go. Okay, get to that clear mind and go. Okay, now I can deal with it in this situation. I can
yeah,
proceed forward, and that takes away some of the worry
yeah.
because now that your brain's going like, okay, so now that I'm clear, I need to check this fact. Okay, now that I'm clear, is this happening? Well, yes, it is. Okay, so now I got to go from there. So yeah, so it doesn't mean it's gonna. We're not saying it's gonna go away just because
Mhm.
you know, uh, do that. It's just gonna be a better way of your mind to process through it.
Yep.
So,
Yes.
mhm,
So I think that, you know, stopping, dropping, taking a deep breath, breathing, learning, relaxing, holding space for ourselves in these times right now, which are kind of intense, and being compassionate and loving for ourselves, self care, learning how
mhm,
to take care of the fears that are coming up for us, may or may not be coming up for us, or whatever, or
mhm,
the anger, or whatever it is, and learning how to be uh, caring for both ourselves and then for others in
mhm.
this time, and then relaxing, and then you just end up
Yeah,
having more fun regardless of what's going on.
mhm,
It's like, oh, it's
yeah,
cool.
mhm,
And you can
yep,
navigate that and laugh about it. They always say that, oh, when Buddha was enlightened, what did he do? He laughed for 2 weeks straight because he thought the whole thing was a big, he's like, oh, see the nature of how things are playing
mhm,
out, and then everything becomes a little more lighthearted. So this idea um, of lightness and laughter, right? And being
mhm,
able to be light. Oh my God, I have to be serious and all that. In the Course in Miracles, they say all seriousness is of the ego. When I'm serious, I need to be taken seriously. It's in your ego. That's all about your ego. That's
yep,
not about your heart. So
mhm.
that's the message, right? I think. Are we?
Yeah, that's totally the biggest thing is, definitely, good and bad, and there's could be both
Yep.
at some point, and so just go into that when you're getting if there's anything going on, let yourself you stop, drop, breathe,
Yep.
let yourself get your mind back into a good spot, and then progress from there. Still go take care of what you need to take care of, but now you'll be in a clear mind.
Yeah,
So that's
and
the
and I
that's the whole
like what
thing.
the good or bad, I don't know, good or
Hmm.
bad, but it's
Hmm.
also good or bad, I don't know, but also good and bad.
Hmm.
Yeah, maybe
Yes.
there's a good
Oh,
part of it and a bad part of it, right? So
yeah,
it's good or bad, I don't know, and good or and bad. Maybe it's good and bad, and
yeah,
that's okay too, right? So I
yeah,
like that. And so
yeah. And I promise I will get onto this book and start reading it.
we'll
And
let you
I
know how
come
it
to
goes.
yep, I come to calm mode in my little world, so it'll be nice. So
But
yeah, I have to
short and
start reading some
sweet,
more.
and yeah, we thanks for you
Yeah.
guys tuning in and taking some time with us, and hope that this helps. And again, we would love the feedback, and if you have
Mhm.
any, if you have, you can like,
Comments,
subscribe, comment,
subscribes, and
share, and
like,
all that
yeah,
kind of stuff.
definitely.
And we definitely appreciate all of
Mhm.
that, the support, and it does help us. And other than that, thanks
Yeah, I hope you
for
have a
tuning in.
yeah. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you have a great week and keep that smile on. And remember, stop, drop, and breathe.
Take care. And thanks for watching this episode of Next Level Real Talk podcast. We would love your support by liking, subscribing, sharing with your friends, and posting comments uh, below. It really does help us.
And if you're new to our podcast, we hope you go back and listen to a couple of our previous episodes. And again, thanks for listening to Next Level Real Talk.